Nice to see the crowd. I'm filling in for Suzanne this afternoon, so this is a new shtick for me. Anyways, I'm Berta Winokur. I'm the program chair, happily, for AAUW. And I met Sherry at the Vermont Library Conference this past May. And we had a request for this program, and I was thrilled when she agreed to come down. It took a little bit of getting approval, but she got approval to come on a Saturday, which is when we tend to meet. And so we're extremely thankful for that, very grateful for that. So Sherry Rockcastle serves at the Vermont Department of Financial Regulations Banking Division, where she addresses consumer concerns related to banking and provides outreach support. Before her work in various state government agencies for the past 17 years, Sherry has held leadership positions, including Vice President at Mad River Canoe. I did read this once before, but I'm seeing it again. Mad River Canoe, cool. And in management at UPS, or United Parcel Service. Now there's stories to be had there, I would imagine, especially the canoe thing, wow. Okay. Anyways, cool. So I'm gonna turn it over to her, and then we have a roving microphone so that everybody will hear all the pertinent questions and the answers that come. So here you go, Sherry.
Thank you very much, Berta, and thank you to your organization along with the UU for having us today. And namely, I wanted to say thank you to you for making the space in your day on this beautiful day to come here and have some learning in the very, I feel, important topic. I'm really glad you're here. And it would serve me wrong to, or I'd be remiss if I didn't also add, when we met Berta, there was also a group of us, as advertised. There are federal partners and the state partners doing this work together. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But when we met, we had the FBI, maybe the U.S. Attorney Office, but certainly the AG Office and myself. But I am the only one who did get the authorization to come out on a Saturday. So you've got me, but I'm bringing all of my partners into the room with me because I've learned so much with them. And together, we developed this presentation as a team, as a coalition, which we started about 1.5 years ago. And these first couple slides are not about the agenda, but they're just to describe why I feel like it's important to be out in the public and why we got together as a coalition. And I'll report a little bit more about that during these next 2 slides prior to the agenda.
So talk a little bit closer to me.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. How's this?
It's better.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. If it waves off, I'll see a waving of a hand, or I'll hear something. And somebody's doing this.
No, that's what the mic does sometimes. It starts going down.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, so please keep me good and let me know if that's happening and I'm not aware. Thank you. So listen, the reason I want to start off with a couple slides is because I think that there's a perception that these crimes are happening to elders mostly, or that's where we're thinking of the body of people, are elders being scammed. And actually, the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, that takes reports of scams and frauds, and reported are that the youth, and we'll know why, we'll talk about why, but the ages 20 to 29 actually lose money more frequently. 44% of the losses, incidences of loss, come from them. What's happening, though, is we do hear about the elder scam losing money because in the 24% group of the folks in 70, 79 age group, they're the life savings, they're the larger dollar amounts. The younger folks are on social media, they might be popping on to say, oh, I like that garment, I like that item, oh, I want that skin cream, and put their money through and not get anything back. So those are the differences, that they're getting, there's more occurrences, but they are getting scammed, frequently getting scammed. So this program today is for everybody, and we're glad you're here. And the next slide, I think that this will tell the story of why 1.5 years ago I said to FBI, Secret Service, U.S. Attorney Office, and a colleague of mine doing this work with consumers, all of us have one thing in common. The AG Office, clearly stated, I want to say, is the Consumer Assistance Program. They're a wonderful group that takes any kind of complaint you may have with housework. You could start there with everything and they'll know where to go if it's not them. For example, if it's an insurance company, you'll want to come to us, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. But what we all have in common is that we see consumers at the tail end of these after the victimization has happened. And what we all cared about is the following. And first of all, I'll tell this story. The Secret Service person, I'm in a monthly meeting with all the with banks and credit unions, financial fraud teams, and we meet monthly. And in that group is also the Secret Service, and FBI attends, and U.S. Attorney attends. Well, in that group, I would hear early on from one of my coalition partners that when the bank is not able to convince the person coming into the bank to withdraw their monies time and time again, they call in Secret Service and say, can you please go give a door knock to this person and try and make reason with them, tell them what's happening. Well, these reports back to us that even with that door knock, hi, I'm Secret Service, I'm here to work with you, and I know that, and they'll tell the common denominator of what is in a fraud like this, oftentimes romantic fraud in this kind of scenario. But the folks aren't necessarily convinced still, even with Secret Service coming to their door. My heart aches for that. And what I said to this team when we pulled together is, let's do what we can. Let's get in front of people, in front of this process happening in the first place, if and where we can. So days like this, we're just so glad that you are here making the time to be educated, because we feel like the best step toward prevention is this education. So I applaud you for being here. So yes, the loss here is real. If anyone cannot see it, I want to say that in 2020, us Vermonters, $4 million were reported to FTC, Federal Trade Commission. And when I say what reported, that's a fraction of what the fraud is. This is barely of, it's just a little sliver of the total fraud that's happening that gets reported. And then on up to 2024, it's up to 10 million, 10.6 million. I don't want to round down. We should round up, if anything. And so our game and our hope is that person by person, this education, not only in your room, but your neighbors and your friends and your family. We're going to talk about something very specific for families during the day today. So we hope for the word to be spread. So this is what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be going over scam susceptibility, scam trends, spotting scams, scam prevention strategies, and also what if a scam occurs. And we will have time for a Q&A. Even if we can gauge it, but we may be able to do it throughout. So go ahead and raise your hand along the way. And if I feel like, time might be a need, then we could then pause at that point and go to Q&A only at the end. We'll see how it goes, okay? We'll work together. And one more thing, before I start on scam susceptibility, I would also like to introduce my department and what we do besides these kinds of events. The Department of Financial Regulation, formerly known as BISHCA, we have 3 consumer-facing areas that we regulate and take consumer concerns on. And they are banking. Banking can be anything from your bank or credit union, your mortgage lender, car loan lender, etc. And then we have the insurance, which all kinds of insurances, and also securities, which I always give a / name investments, securities investments. So we have these 3 teams, all experts within the field, doing the regulatory aspects, examining, issuing licenses. And if you, as a consumer, have a concern with any of those areas, I have brought literature. I want you guys to know that that's why we're here for consumer protection. So call us if you need anything. So now, thank you for that. And scam susceptibility. In this area, this is Crystal's the expert in this area, so you may see me using a note or two, and I apologize for that, but I want to make sure I don't skip anything. With scam susceptibility, we know that this research up here today is research done by AARP, and it shows scams that have succeeded not because people are gullible. That is not why scams succeed. But because they're triggered with urgencies and often strong emotions like fear, again, urgencies, even affection. And it makes it hard to think clearly in that moment. And although anyone can be targeted, absolutely anyone, regardless of age, regardless, as we showed before, regardless of education, as we've seen people, famous people articulating they've been scammed, regardless of race and ethnicity. The study uncovered 4 common risk factors. And by the way, for anyone who feels like they need to notate all of this, we will make this PowerPoint available to you. So if you would like to sit back and relax, you can do that as well. I know how I am, but sometimes it helps me integrate it. So if you're note taking, it's for your own, I get it. I just wanted you to know. So first, the stressful life events, right? Who here has not gone through a stressful life event, right? Exactly. So those major life losses or changes, such as a death in the family, a job loss, even a move, or a change of job, a better job, those are all stressful events. And when we're in those types of periods in our lives, we are actually twice as likely to experience fraud within that time frame because we've got other things going on. And I'm sure, by the way, who here has ever been scammed or knows of a dear one who has been scammed? Smart people, right? Caught off guard a bit. Something to do with this life stress thing, probably. So yeah, it's not a phenomenon. It truly is not. And part of what we're doing in our messaging is very clear. The scammers do want us to think, to believe that we should be feeling shame and embarrassment, and there's a reason for that, because then we won't come forward. If we don't come forward, it's less likely that we'll have the data that they need to be captured or to be prosecuted. So major life events. Second, stronger emotions, right? Victims do report far stronger emotion responses during fraud encounters than non-victims. And these emotions can be both positive and negative. I was driving home with my son. We did a college visit last year, and we were rerouted because there was an accident. We had an electric car, so charging and where we would charge and all that was a little suspect, right? So we took smaller roads. We were really on 0 battery, but we made it. Right around the corner was our charger. We landed. It's 1 in the morning. A couple hours later than we would have been home. And he goes through his email. He's like, "Mom, look. They're giving these instruments away. The teacher's giving, all we have to do is pay for shipping." Well, he was really excited. He's a musician, and so it had his email address, and it seemed legitimate to him. He was tired, he was excited. So in those stronger emotion times, we're more susceptible. We're swept up, right? So third, less social and family support. One thing I could say for sure is you all have that checked off. You have each other, and I love that. Communities are one of our safeguards. We talk to each other, we rely on each other, and we're there for one another. And we want you to be so, because it makes a difference in this. So those who had been victimized, many said that they didn't feel like they had somebody that they'd be comfortable running these things by them. We want you to know that by coming through this education, sometimes people feel like, well, I should know everything, I should know this. But we shouldn't, none of us should be experts in everything. We should always be willing to ask. And then finally, pre-exposure to scams. If somebody is scammed, what happens is this information gets shared within the society of scammers, basically. We'll talk more about that later. But statistically, somebody who has been scammed is more likely to be targeted in a greater volume. And then we all know what we're already facing in our emails and our texts and those phone calls. Well, it gets amped up, and the likelihood of being re-scammed is higher. So now we're going to talk about scam trends for a minute. Not for a minute, but we're going to go into scam trends. First of all, what scams have we been seeing? Anyone want to give a shout out to, not maybe, it doesn't have to be specific, but to, thank you.
Grandchildren need money, or a friend needs money, or gift cards. They're always asking for a gift card.
Okay, thank you. Gift, we're going to hit on all of those. Thank you.
Hello, Grandpa.
Hello, Grandpa, another one. This is your grandchild. That's a good one. Okay, thank you. Please.
You're being investigated by XYZ. Were you in Mexico recently? Like a whole, yeah, like, and I'm a federal agent, and we need this information, or you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, it could feel threatening to somebody, especially if they were just in Mexico and they may have done something suspect there.
Right.
Your computer has been infected by something or other, and please call this number right away. And I've learned that you simply unplug your computer and it's no problem.
And we'll hit on that. Thank you for sharing. It's a big one. Please.
DMV and tolls.
Oh, yeah. Pay with the sir.
Tolls.
I get these messages every now and then from people whom I know, but I haven't heard from in years.
We'll talk about that too. Thank you.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah. So he's been hearing from friends in social media that he hasn't heard from in so long. We'll talk about that in this presentation. Thank you. Please.
I subscribe to Xfinity, but I also get fake Xfinity. And I had one today, and I've gotten to have a feel for them because they put things in colors that a regular email from them would not be.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And so now my other daughter found out that you can, when you get them from Xfinity or Comcast, you can just forward it to abuse@comcast.net. And then they send you a thank you, and they have a long list of things to look out for.
That's great. Yes. And as the AI generation keeps going, those looks really similar, but not quite. The margin of that becomes smaller and smaller, does it not? And who feels like they have another full-time job in some sense, just wording this off? We do look at that text. Hey, I was in Massachusetts, but it takes a lot of our occupation.
Whether it's in an email or it comes in on your credit card, it's coming from a company, and it's such a small amount that you just sort of go over it because you're stressed out about something else, and the next thing you know, it's tripled when it comes back again.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Please.
Yeah, I also get the emails that tell me that I have a package waiting for me.
Yeah.
$399 is due or something like that.
Thank you. Again, it's kind of another job for us all. We'll talk more about these. Thank you. What I want to do is review with you, again, back to the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, the reports that they get, and here in Vermont, what they're seeing. So, number one type of scam, the mechanism of it is, it's like an umbrella. It's the imposter type of scam. And this could have many faces on it, can it not? Romance, tech support, retail impersonators. Those are getting those 20, 29-year-olds the most. The investor or investment. I want to pause here and say that some of these are not individualized. They can be coupled up, particularly with romantic scams and an investment scam. That romantic partner says, but I have this great mechanism to grow our money, your money. And they're very believable, of course, but we'll talk more about the convincing and things later. The influencer, a high school teacher that I know, we do some work at high schools. A high school teacher called me up with a student next to her and said, Sherry, First of all, we're going to take more education to our schools about scams and frauds when we're doing financial literacy. And second of all, that's not, she said that as an aside, but first and foremost, she had her student with her, first generation student, saving her money to go to college, was friending an influencer, and that happens in social media amongst the youth, and this person convinced them to invest. So that influencer was with the investor scam. And the investment scams are so real-like, it's a relationship building. So over time, they're saying, let me show you. They show them, give me just a little bit, $500. I'll show you that 500 becomes, 1,000 to 2,000 quickly. So the student did invest all of her money with an investment scam and lost it. So all ages, all means. And another area that we talked about, the grandchild scam, have one or not. But I want to talk about those who do have grandchildren here and AI as that combination grows. So all that's needed is a YouTube video of someone's voice. They have apps now that capture that voice, and then they can put an app and tell that app to say anything in that person's voice. So here's the takeaway for this area. I'll talk about it in strategies, actually. So as I said, here's the strategy. Let me wait. We're going to cover this about strategies. But that is, again, closing the gap is with this technology. And then government imposters, government, Social Security, IRS, law enforcement, like your example, etc. So these are all under the guise of imposter scams, and number one type here in Vermont. The number two type, again, an umbrella type, is the ID theft, identity theft. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's when somebody steals your identity for the purposes, or the purposes of using it to steal money from you. That could be through opening a credit card in your name, it could be, or a loan. Other areas, bank fraud, that happens too often. And government documents or government benefits. During COVID 2020, we know for a fact that people fully employed were also getting scammers were taking that information and filing for unemployment and receiving it on behalf of someone who is working. And then, again, as I said, loans or leases. So that's our number two type of scam in our state. And that's the other thing. Driving down today, I'm in Montpelier, beautiful drive, thanks for the day of sunshine. And all I could think of is, we live in just this idyllic place, and we are so very lucky. And what's not lucky, or what has changed the shape of us being in idyllic Vermont, is that the technology, these scammers are not just in other states, they are global and they go everywhere to us in our doorsteps. So what I want to talk about next is the key indicators of scams. What are the red flags of a scam in general? So in this area, we're going to talk about what only scammers are going to say and only scammers are going to do. We're going to talk about hearing and seeing the clues, why scammers are very convincing and how very professional they indeed are, and also scams, it's not just on the news for other places in the world. Scams are taking people's life savings, and it's happening too often. So first I want to talk about the red flags of what only scammers are going to say. We talked about this earlier in susceptibility. They don't want you to have time. They're going to tell you. They're going to tell a person, act now. They don't want you to think. It's just go, 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 right through the process. They'll also say, here's what I want you to only say what I tell you to say. In this example, the best example is someone comes to the bank teller with the phone to their ear and says to the bank teller who knows them, and the teller says, oh, what do you need the money for today? What are you using this for? Because they suspect a scam, they're asking this. And the scammer is telling them what to say. So that happens as well. Also, don't trust anyone. They're in on it. That would be this is my opportunity to talk about the organization of these crimes, the professionalism of them. They're often, not always, but they're often overseas. They're former call centers, and this literally happens. There are also people doing these scams that are doing them against they're not there on their free will. They're expected to provide quotas. They've got playbooks. Make jokes about this. If the the play-by-play about how to achieve this outcome of scamming somebody. And these are pieces that we hear from our federal partners. They're on the ground. They have the insight quite directly. And if they were here today, I think it's quite impactful to hear from them because they're the ones seeing it, knowing it, and sharing it. But indirectly, I want to say that, yeah, these are organizations doing these crimes that have a high degree of professionalism. They're like business people for crimes, of course. So the other thing that the scammers will say is, don't hang up. I had a person that didn't hang up. They said, if you hang up, the police are going to come to your house. So what you need to do to keep the police away from your home, because of this charge that you missed the jury and you don't want to go to jail. This woman has a 1 month-year-old at home. Stay on the phone with me, and I'm going to walk you through this. You're just going to go get that cash from the bank, then you're going to go here and deliver it. And that's what happened, because of the other thing was more fearful to them than this, right? So, and they didn't have time to think. So don't hang up is another clue. If they do say don't hang up, what do? You hang up, that's right. We're going to talk more about hanging up in another area about strategies as well. And then the other thing that only scammers will say is to do this, again, or you'll be arrested under that guise of imposter. They'll make something up that's very convincing. We'll talk more about this, but they'll call on a line that looks like the local police or the county police or the state police. The phone number will come in and you'll think, oh, it's them. But will police ever call you and say you missed a jury duty or that you owe money? No, they will never do that. So this is what scammers will do. Someone mentioned the gift cards. Only scammers are going to ask for payment by gift cards. Why is that? Does anyone have any ideas about that?
They can't be traced.
They can't be traced, and the minute you scratch and give, money's been used. It's not as if you hang up and, now I can still use this. No, they've used it already, instantly. So gift cards are what only scammers are going to ask for in terms of payment. Go to a Bitcoin ATM. Why? Anyone have an idea?
Because it can't be traced.
Again, because it can't be traced. Cryptocurrency is unregulated and it has its own anonymous network. And I do want to say a little bit of a plug of a pride here is because through these scams and reporting to the state, we saw how active the ATMs, these are like ATM machines that you would go to once upon a time for a little bit of cash out. Well, these are ATMs to put your money in and purchase Bitcoin. And then the scammer is asking for the identifier of that Bitcoin while you're on the phone with them. And once they receive that, it's theirs and it's gone. So in the state of Vermont, we have changed the laws and we're still working on them. But we only have 2 Bitcoin machines in the ATMs in the whole of our state. What does happen though is they'll say go to New York, go to New Hampshire, because there's many there. So we still have to be aware of this scam. Move your money to protect it. Your money's not safe at the bank. We want you to move it. This is the FBI working with you, and we want you to be safe. Not only that, but in these organized call centers, the folks are lined up next to each other taking different parts of the scams, and working together to give you that next person on the phone that says they're part of this, they know that this is happening, and it qualifies it. It seems to make it seem quite real. So withdrawing your cash and give it to anyone is what a scammer is going to tell you and no one else. And in this case, yeah, dollars are withdrawn and picked up by a courier. In fact, in about a year ago, the U.S. Attorney Office prosecuted 25 criminals with the help of Canada. In Quebec, there was a ring of grandparent scammers working right there. And because of their proximity, at times they would come down into Vermont, knock on the door, and receive the cash that was withdrawn. So we never want to withdraw cash for anyone's use. It's a scam if they're asking for any cash. And then withdraw money and buy gold bars. It is still happening. Does it sound believable? Sometimes not, but it's still happening. The gold bars are, again, non-traceable. They're asking the folks that buy the gold bars, it's shipped to their house, they're asking them to repackage it so that the USPS or the UPS is not keen on the fact that it's gold bars, because they've been educated, and if they were seeing those packages, they were alerting the FBI that this was happening. So now they're, hey, repackage that and send it on. So only a scammer is going to ask you to buy gold for that. And then in all of these, there's what we call the 4 U's, and unexpected. I wasn't really expecting this gift to come my way, and I only have to pay $50 to get this $1,000 gift. Unexpected, urgent, do it now, not time to think. Unsettling, something that makes us feel fear, and also unfamiliar, like the text scam. That must be what's happening. What else could it be? Or crypto. Those are areas that we want to watch for. And when we see them, we'll talk about this in the next area, scam prevention strategies. So what we want to talk about here are these strategies that when these are happening, right? In all cases, when we're feeling any of those 4 U's or seeing them, suspecting them, having that gut instinct, something in our belly, anything. We want to take these steps, which is to slow down. We want to take steps to verify. Let's say I get a phone call. It's my bank. It's got the number right there. And then they ask me a question that is like my whole social security number. Well, it's my bank. Or is it? Yeah. So we want to slow to verify, right? I don't have to answer that call coming in. We'll talk about how that works and why that works in a minute, but that's called a spoof call. And when that happens, I want to hang up and I want to call the bank, because that call that came in isn't from that number, it just appears to be. But any number I call, I activate that call. That's the number I am calling. There is no 2 ways about it. It's not going to anyone else but that bank that I call. So take steps to verify. And then you're doing it already. I know you are, but continue to work together as a community, because getting community support is very important. In fact, a takeaway for today, and I'd love to just pause here and say, who is your trusted contact that you would go to when you're feeling the feeling of, I don't know? And I really want to pause here and think of that person, because you'll really want to count on each other. You could count on each other or just them. They could count on someone else, but know that person for yourself as a takeaway for today. And I'm going to pause here. I'm not a pauser, but I'm going to try before I advance. Does everybody think of someone who you can rely on and contact if you have a question, if you're a little bit concerned? Yes, please, a question.
We're meeting again next Sunday. For those of you in the AAUW who are not part of the UUFD, we formed a group about 2 months ago called the Information Technology Collaborative here, where we are trying to share this kind of information as well as things like email etiquette and how do you save your stuff and where your stuff is. So right now we're focused on people within the UU community, but stop and tell me if you're in the other cool organization with a bunch of initials in this town, and I think we can find a way to let you in.
That's a fantastic plug, and the work does keep needing to be worked. You're right. We're giving a nice overview, and then when you could go deeper, you feel more empowered because you have that knowledge. Thank you very much. Yes.
When I think of like reaching out to someone in the community for support, like
Yeah.
if something like this happened, I think I would feel really afraid of revealing the fact that I might be even entertaining something, like that I would be seen as stupid. So I feel like part of the work here may be, like we've shown how.
Changing the script.
Right, because
Absolutely.
we've seen, like social psychologists talk about the power of the situation. And when somebody's in a situation, like you presented in the early slides, like they become, like everybody becomes more susceptible. Nobody wants to believe it. Like everybody wants to believe, like this isn't gonna happen to me. But the truth is, it does happen to people, even who believe it won't happen to them.
Yes.
And it's very important, I think, to actually mitigate the shaming of people
Yes.
for being stupid
Get
or
on up
gullible.
here. I told you earlier you should be co-doing this with me. She is you are absolutely spot on, and we will be talking more about the bias, the script of what we have to turn around. Absolutely, I agree with you.
Because it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be tricky to be like, oh, who do I feel like wouldn't like just start seeing me in a bad light? You know, if maybe, I don't know, whatever.
And there is something else you called out on, which is people think that this can't happen to them. Well, one thing I want to pride each of you in is you're here, so you're past that gate because we know it could happen to any of us, and that is a positive. So you also probably want to pick that other person who understands that too and won't judge. So, but we'll talk more about the bias too. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes.
One thing that I get all the time, and I haven't heard you mention it, is phishing.
Yes. Spoof calls.
Yeah,
Or
text,
emails.
Emails,
Oh.
whatever. Yeah. You getting
Wait
it?
for it. Just
Okay.
kidding. It's coming. I promise. I'll do a time check here. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely coming. So first, before we get into some of the specific strategies, I want to talk about some preventative recommendations, some proactive recommendations. But before I can, what I want to also acknowledge is that this information is also printed up with some other information on the back table that you could have as a takeaway. So don't feel like you have to re-find it another day. It will be here on the table for you. But first of all, I wanted to just let you know that there's a couple things about in proactive recommendations. I want to see if we can move the, thank you so very much. Appreciate it, just a tad. That's great, appreciate it. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, so the annualcreditreport.com is the official place. You know how you could go browsing on the internet and you're like, is that the website that I really want? This is the website that one really wants when they want to do the following, and this is a recommendation as well. They give out our credit bureaus, the 3 bureaus, 3 free annual reports, 3 free credit reports. It used to be on an annual basis. They've changed it. We could count on it being more often than that, but even if we took one from each bureau every 4 months and viewed it like we would our bank accounts, viewed it for any outside activity, that's a good hygiene practice. The other thing about what we can do on that website, from that website, is you can consider, and people that are still getting loans do this too because it's pretty easy to take on and off, but you can consider putting a freeze on your credit bureaus, and that way if somebody's trying to open something in your name, they cannot. So it's a really good proactive step. If you're just about to buy a house or a car, you can lift that credit freeze. Or if you're really active and you don't want to go lift and close and lift and close, one could also instead put a fraud alert that lasts 1 year. Credit freeze lasts as long as you wish it to be there. The fraud alert will go year over year, 1 year at a time. And what that is the credit can still be obtained, but they do the check more thoroughly, not just with the high levels. They do more of a scrub, so you don't have to lift anything. They could still be obtained. And then we know that this doesn't really, the reduced unsolicited calls, you're still going to get spoof calls and spam calls, etc. But at least if you wanted to lift some of that activity, there's that phone number, which we may all know already. And then lastly, I wanted to say this too for alerts. I think that one of the things that in my work I take for granted is how doubtful I am of things, and it's because I'm doing this work. And one way I think we can remain in that, I think that's a healthy experience to have when we're looking at our texts, when we're looking at our emails, is to have doubt. Doubt that this is legitimate, going from there versus, prove it's not legitimate. And so one of those areas are by being reminded, being alerted, and the FTC website down there at the bottom, they have alerts that if you put your email in, they will send you alerts on a routine basis of scams. And it just keeps you in that, this is happening. It's not, it keeps you engaged into that good sense of doubt, is what I think of it as. Also here with Vermont, state of Vermont, how some of us might get weather alerts on our text phone from Vermont. We can also get scam alerts. Occasionally the AG charity will put out, when they get enough of one kind, like the tolls were one example where they put out an alert. You would be getting that alert when they put those out. Your banks also, you could sign up for a bank alert, a fraud alert. Also, if you don't already have it, they can also send alerts as to when transactions are happening at your bank as well. And then AARP has a decent website, very good, thorough website, and they have what's called a fraud watch. So these are some ways we could go proactively engage, get some feedback and awareness about what's happening around us beyond today. And speaking of which, the reason why we went over what generally scammers are going to say and what they're going to do, and we didn't go over the plethora of more and more and more type of scams, is because tomorrow there'll be something new. So we really want to generalize, what will these feel like? What will they look like? Sir?
Do these federal agencies still exist?
Yes, they do. Yes.
So many are being abolished these days.
Yeah.
Does the Consumer Protection Bureau still
Yes.
exist?
Yes. Yes, I'm glad to report that it does.
Does it have people working there?
Yeah, it's a trying time, for sure.
Could I make a quick comment about your previous slide? There are two approaches to how you get this information. There's called push technology, which is what the scammers do, where they push information on you. And that includes getting alerts. Okay, and then there's pull technology, and the AARP one, I think is, not time to debate it, but the AARP one is the only one listed up there where you actively take your time to go and look. And I, for example, get over 70 messages a day from various institutions, about half of which are spam. Well, spam's not scams. So what you really want to look for is those kinds of things.
We're going to talk about
pull technologies.
The items that come into you. We'll talk about that in a minute, about preventative strategies for emails as an example. A little bit about text, but more about email. How do we qualify this is who it says it is? So we'll talk about that. I think a lot of us get a lot of those emails and we don't want them anymore, but we don't know which ones are good and which ones are bad always either. So we'll talk about how to discern that. Thank you for mentioning it. So strategies by type. I told you earlier when we talked about grandparent scams, I would be talking more about this, and this is the time. So within the grandparent scam, the AI that happens in there, this could actually be getting a call in the middle of the night, and it's the voice of your grandchild.
Yeah.
It's the voice saying, I'm in trouble, this is what happened. I got in an accident, the woman's pregnant, I need some money, Mom. Yeah, Grandpa. And you, sir, will say, I don't have grandkids, so, but back to your example before. So when we receive that kind of message, what we want to intact already in our families is a code word or a code phrase. So I really want to recommend that you pick something within your family that everyone will know and nobody else will know. So it's not the family pet that's in someone's Facebook feed by name, but it's just something that you guys pick with humor, with love, that only you all will know. Could be a word or a phrase. But that way, when you're startled, if one is startled in the middle of the night, yeah, what's the code word? And that has literally happened, and what happens next? The fraudster hangs up. They know they're on to. It's not nothing else, nothing further they can say, because they don't know that code word. So when we're talking about government and bank impersonation, bear with me, I want to actually refer to my notes. Really, we're talking about any kind of impersonator, any phone call that comes into you that may not be who they say they are. We got started on this a little bit earlier with a bank that might call. It looks like my bank, it has their phone number. So what that is it's called a spoof. And a spoof call is, I don't know the technology. I don't know how it works, but I'm not sure that will matter right now. But someone could call us and look like there's someone they're not. And if we get someone from a trusted phone number on our phone, and it says it's the bank, it's your medical team, and they're asking you something that's out of the ordinary, too personal, and you get a sense, you don't need to keep engaging. You hang up even though they won't want you to. They'll say, no, it's too important, you can't, and you'll miss, you hang up, and you activate that call, because when we activate the call, it does go to that institution. That is, there's no ability for a spoof to happen from us out. So that's how we want to take care of ourselves in those areas. And again, they can sound quite convincing, and especially if somebody is already under stress. So you get a government call, they're just verify. Hey, disengage and verify yourselves. The tech support is so common. It happened to me before I even knew the words of it. It was probably 20 years ago, or maybe I was a new mom, and I remember getting that alert and thinking, oh my gosh, of course it seems like we have to engage and we have to act. I'm sure I did at that time. I ended up bringing it to the tech support, but now we know a little bit more, and just to get the word out there ahead of time that anybody coming into your frame of work saying something's wrong and I'm here to help, just like you said, if they're engaging you and you're not going proactively engaging them, it's a scam. Don't do it. If something happens and there's a it could even happen like that, where you think, gosh, I have to press something. Close your computer, turn it off, bring it to tech support that you trust, Geek Squad, or somebody else that is notably, integral. And the romance or relationship scam, such a hard one, because in this day and age, right, people are meeting people online. That's how people meet people in a lot of spheres. So, but the telltale signs here are, as we've all heard about, have I been able to meet them? Also be warned that AI could put an image in front of you as a tech meeting, through the screen. They're talking to me, that's them. It could be an AI generated piece too, if not today, next month, next 6 months. So meeting them in person. And
One sentence. There's a lot of research out there that says that if you've met somebody through the internet and most of your relationship has been online, you only have about a 10% chance, not just the scammers, but you have about a 10% chance of that blooming into something stable. There's definitive research coming out of places like MIT and somewhere in the Midwest.
So let's get out and meet each other in person. But the other telltale sign is the person doesn't want to meet you. They're going to fly in. They've had some hard luck. They've had some medical bills, and now they just need the money for the airfare. That's it, just for the airfare to come and see you. If someone's trying to get any money for anything at the start of a relationship, it's not a relationship, and it's a scam. Don't go there. Yes?
Two things. One, in my computer, I can go up to the sender, and next to it is a little arrow. And if I click on that, it'll give me the actual source of that.
Yes.
Very often, that's really funny.
Yes, we're going to talk about that.
But the second thing is, oftentimes they'll give you a number to call. And if they tell you it's your bank number or your credit card number, then I think the thing to do is, you know what those numbers are. You hang up and call those numbers.
That's right, do your own research. Yeah, thank you very much. See, we've got a lot of very skilled people here, and it's not uncommon that knowing a little bit, you come and you want to, I'm thankful because this is a sharing opportunity, and I think it's great. The insert that the added communication that we've had today is very helpful. And then next, investment schemes. Boy, oh boy, this is where the savings come into play. The full-time savings can really be wrought through this scheme. It seems so real that somebody's giving their money to this person, romantic interest, influencer, just somebody says they're an investor. So first of all, the Department of Financial Regulation can always tell you if the investor is licensed, and we recommend only investing with licensed investors. But they will create such a scenario with real-looking websites that show your money growing, that it has been convincing and it has gotten people out of their savings, and it's very sad. But I want to talk about now where we're going to talk about email, social media, and phone calls, and just how they've been categorized, once again, by the FTC. Phone calls tend to be the highest, the means by which the highest per person fraud dollar amount has occurred, with the average median loss, the median loss being $1,500. So the social media has the highest overall losses reported, $1.9 billion in 1 year. And the email is the highest overall number of reports. We could probably attest to that by our own email, meaning fraud, scam, it doesn't mean people were scammed, but 372,000 reports. So every day, all day, we know it. Texts aren't on here, but we're going to talk about those too. So strategies to address first, let's talk about social media. So the person who comes up, you talked about this before, friends who've come out of the woodworks. I haven't talked to them in years. So what happens in social media is that a scammer can take the identity, can take the credentials of a friend's account and come back and do a new friend request with you. They can, and then you're like, oh, my buddy, I wonder what happened to them. But yeah, of course, that's my buddy. Well, now it's an imposter in your feed looking at your information. What are you telling your family, even if it's like just close friends and family? Now that person can see what's going on with those people. The other area is that if we haven't already, the privacy settings in your social media can be set that only the people that you are friends with can see the items that you're sharing. If it's not set like that with that intention, then all your friends and their friends and their friends, it goes on and on, thousands of people can see your activity. So that's with privacy settings. And then the other awareness is in Facebook Marketplace, as one example of where they're selling things. We really recommend that there are scammers on there too, saying they're nearby, saying they have this product, saying you could just Venmo them. Well, gosh, that's my neighbor down just up in Manchester. Sure, I'll Venmo them and we'll meet later. Well, we recommend meeting in a lit place, even by a police station, and have a cash or certified check, and don't send the money, just to be sure it's, not $1,000 off for this guitar you're going to pick up for your kid. But that's the mechanism, the means by which we recommend going about something with Facebook Marketplace. Yes?
Oftentimes people put their credit card attached to an AAUW on Facebook, and that's where people are getting scammed as well. And so they think they're giving to AAUW, but in reality they're getting that money somehow through that.
Can you repeat that?
Could you say that a little longer, or would you like to?
Oftentimes people will put their credit card attached to their Facebook page so they can give to things like AAUW, and they think they're giving donations to politicians, but in reality they're getting scammed.
Yeah. And we have to do our research and engage actively, proactively.
Somebody doing that might not even know they're being scammed,
Right.
Ever.
Right, if it's a fake, false website. I don't have a lot of expertise in the false websites, I'll be honest with you.
That's happened to Judy. That's how come I know.
Yeah. Anybody else want to contribute anything on the social media content? Please.
The last one,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Front Porch Forum around here.
Yes.
And I think when you apply to that, you can directly email the person or reply to the site. So you're saying just reply to Front Porch Forum rather than going to their email? People are often selling something, giving something away, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never thought that was unsafe.
I apologize for any lack of clarity, but Facebook Marketplace, a little bit more anonymous.
Right. So something like Front Porch Forum.
Yeah, don't give them the money until you actually meet them and get the product.
Right.
Yeah, same principle. Yes.
I've been doing research on social media for almost 30 years now, right around the time it started. And the answer is get off it. If you absolutely need to use Facebook Marketplace or any of those kinds of sharing things, no matter how local it is, how much you think it, listen to what she said. Do not share your email address, your credit card. The person whose credit card is on Facebook is an idiot.
No, they're not. They're not. No, I'm sorry. Nobody's an idiot. They're trusting because it seems to be a mechanism.
They shouldn't.
So we're going to go on beyond this. Anyone else?
The codice is that
So the
it's not
strategy-
just people, it's the machines are able to take that and use it.
You have a question?
Oh, it's not in response to that. I have recently started where that you can hide your email
Yes.
address on a site. Is
Yes.
that like a safety mechanism that is actually working, or is that?
Hide your email. Whenever I email something that has to do with commerce, it's not just for that company. So that's one thing I'm going to say, right? Or I sign up for that political information or something else. It's on a list and it's shared and sold again. Well, also scammers do that too, but yeah. I started doing that. I don't know a lot about that technology, but I don't know if it's keeping us safe from scammers coming to us so much. It's probably going to lower the amount of scam emails that you get in the end overall over time. Do you want to contribute to that? Because I know you're.
Yeah, I was talking to you about that. I don't know if I can, so I only have my first-hand experience to rely on. I use a service called Proton Mail and Proton Pass, where you set up a password and you can set up hide my email addresses. You can disable each email address if you start getting unwanted stuff. And the other thing is that Proton is pretty good about keeping, they tell me if something looks like a phishing thing, they keep a lot of nonsense out of my inbox. So it cuts back on what I have to kind of decide about. But the thing, it depends if you use, I think it creates distance. I think that's the most solid claim anybody could make about it, because the stuff that whoever is emailing you they don't know your real email address. It just gets forwarded to you. They don't know how. But I don't know. Your address and your credit card information is still in there. So not foolproof.
And nothing is.
Right.
What I do want to contribute toward prevention strategies within email is something specifically what this gentleman had contributed earlier. First of all, when we do get an email and it's obvious it's scam, it does help to put it in the junk or scam box, because then our email knows relationship. to that particular email, and you won't get more of those from that one, but they're multiplying, dividing, and you're still going to get them from others. Now, verify sender information. Has anybody ever done this? Many of us may have, some of us may not have, but where you take your mouse or your finger on the pad and you hover in an email, under the From section, where the email starts. It looks just like USPS. Oh, that's the government, that's about my package. But you can hover over that address. Has everybody done that already?
No. Yes.
Okay, so what you can do is hover over the address where then it opens and shows you the entire address. And next time you get one of those, it isn't. Show yourself, and you'll see on that email address that it isn't. That it is a false email, that it has extra characters. It could be very slight, it could be very obvious, one or the other, but you could examine exactly who that email has come from by hovering. Without hovering, it looks like just a word USPS or something like Amazon. But when you hover, you see the real address that it comes from, and then it shows you its goofiness, that it's not real. And then in emails, again, if it's not a trusted someone, and then was their email, if it's unusual or unordinary for you to get a link or something from even a family member, check with them first. Did you send this?
Yeah, it'll say, oh, I just came across these photos I thought you'd like, and then you have to click over. Don't do it.
No links. Don't click those links. We want you to be safe.
Another thing I find is that if you read through the message that you get,
Yes.
very often the English is terrible.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, and also I have to mention this. I'm sorry, but please hold your questions after this, because I want to make sure we get through the content. We will have room for even if it's afterwards individually, I'll stay around. But what I want to say is thank you for mentioning that, and all of your additions. They've been very helpful today. And what I want to say about the emails is don't count on it not looking, don't count on it having poor grammar or misspellings today. AI's got it for them. So you count on it looking very real. So other strategies to address first scam calls. We talked about this already, but not in this vein. So here's a strategy for those phone calls when they're not spoofed, right? When it doesn't say the bank. Because of course I'm going to answer if it says the bank. But even then you do have a choice. But if I don't recognize the number, if it doesn't come in and it's not a friend of mine or the doctor's office, if I don't recognize it, it costs me more time, because sometimes it's like a department within the hospital. I haven't talked to them before. I might not pick it up. I'll let them take a voicemail. So any number I do not recognize, I let go to voicemail. Does anyone not have caller ID in the room? You don't have caller ID, you have a landline, right? Okay, we'll talk afterwards about that scenario. But otherwise, and oftentimes, not often, but some of those times it even says, likely scam. I have been in areas where people will say, yeah, I give it back to them. So I'm going to say why not to, and it's really very clear. The scammers keep track of the activity. If we are not picking up, they are not calling as much. When we pick up, oh, we got a live one, someone's going to pick up. If we pick up and talk to them, oh, we got a live one for 2 minutes. There's this activity is shared, and you're going to get more activity into you. And then with text scams, never ever click a link. The toll scam, you must pay within 24 hours or else. We were at a high school, up and talking to a high school then class, doing financial literacy, and right in the class, kids said, hey, just got a text from a toll, says that if I don't pay in 24 hours, don't click on any links. And if you don't, and also those other text scams that'll come in and says, hey, Georgia, it was so nice to see you the other day. I'm not Georgia, by the way, my name is Sherry. And to be nice, right? I want to let them know, but I don't. I want to let them know this is in Georgia. And they'll say, oh, well, who is, oh, that was so nice of you. Thank you. There's a dialogue starting. They're phishing. They're sending that out widespread to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And then the dialogue will start to happen according to their playbook if you respond. So we can't be in that nature of someone just made a mistake and I want to be nice and let them know. We just have to ignore it and they'll find out that they made a mistake if it was real. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right, so what do we need to do if a scam occurs? I also want you to know that this information we're about to go over is also in that handout at the table, so you don't have to grab the information yet from here. So first we're going to talk about what is a scam. Okay, we've gone through a lot of different areas about what makes us more susceptible, that it's not gullibility, right? It's the time in our life. It's the essence of what scammers are very skilled at figuring out how to, the fear tactic, the joy, the emotions, heighten our emotions, make us think quickly. But it is certainly not gullibility. And so when we do have somebody that has been victimized, it is because and only because a crime has occurred to them. And what we really need to understand is that our society tends to fall under a couple of key two words, namely, that come out and how a person feels after they have been scammed. Does anyone want to take a stab at what words, the feelings they're having, as opposed to anger and upset and go ahead.
Self-blame.
Self-blame, shame, yes, and embarrassment. And that's because there's this belief that they did something wrong, and they did not. A person victimized was victimized by a criminal. A criminal set them up, and they were stolen from. And that's what that is. And again, we need to all do our jobs in flipping that script and not wonder how this happened, but know that it did happen and offer that empathy and understanding to someone who's been harmed. So when somebody has been victimized, time it can be of the essence, and here's why. Now, our scammers know this, so it's used less often. But in a scenario where an ACH, a wire, was used, it doesn't happen instantaneously. It happens in 72 hours. So these reports, first to your fraud team at the bank, and again, I meet with them monthly. There's no scenario that they've not heard of, and they are not in a judgment mode. They're in a help, provide support to you mode. Call them, let them know, and they'll work out all the details that need to happen for your security in your banking right away. Now, the other time is of the essence is it could be on a Saturday at 9 o'clock at night. So you also want to take this and report it because the bank's not open at that hour, of course. So you want to contact the FBI. The FBI has an 800 telephone number, and they have a reporting mechanism. We want to make those reports, and here's why. The why is this. Number one is they can do what's called a kill switch. They can stop that wire transfer before it happens. They'll get involved. They're open. They're looking at reports that they receive 24/7. And the other reason why we want to report these is also just to give it more data they have on criminal activity, the more likelihood they're going to be able to catch criminals. And it's not just coming from us. That same email that we give into the report that says this is where it all started, well, that could be matched off with several other beings across the country, of course, and all those become clues for them to be able to solve these cases. So we want to report for ourselves and our safety of our money, and time is of the essence, but we also want to report if a week went by and we went, no, I'm going to report, money's gone, but I still say please report because we want to help others. We want to get the criminals understood. The FBI has 75 country partners. They can't always just run in and capture it's a complicated scenario in these transnational organizations, but the information helps them make their case to go in and put these out. And sadly, they are like whack-a-mole. Correct. Scams aren't going anywhere. They're just going to be moving from place to place. But if personal information, also by the way, it has any chance that it was a part of the scam, my social security number, my birth date, my address, just anything that you're feeling like, do they have more on me and they could do more? Well, did I freeze my credit? But also identitytheft.gov, which is shut down right now. However, it is shut down right now, but we're going to give you the next slide and tell you about state support as well. When they're back up and running, it's because of the shutdown in this case. When they're back up and running, they have a wonderful step-by-step resource guide for folks that are in identity theft crisis. Now, the next step 3, we really think that entrusting a trusted contact, even if someone is scammed, and we want people to think about who they'd go to just check out something, but also if somebody was scammed, get your social support in place. Know who you're going to call and reach out to and be your partner in this for your feelings, etc. But speaking of which, there's 2 organizations that I can highly recommend. Give an Hour is one. They not only work with, they have one-on-one counseling for free. They have group counseling, so you know you're not alone. And they also have counseling for children who know their parent is being scammed, suspect their parent is being scammed, but the parent won't recognize that. We didn't talk about that much in today's script, but what I want to acknowledge is, particularly in the romantic scam area, there could be denial. You could have a loved one being scammed and they're not ready to see it for themselves, just like the Secret Service knocking on the door. You as a loved one, the banker that knows the person for 20 years, sometimes we can't penetrate that truth into the story. We have to meet them where they are, be patient, and just offer solace. The main thing that they're going to need is when they're ready to give up that connection, they're going to feel empty. They're going to need something in substitution of that experience. That's what keeps them going back. It's filling something for them. So what I want to say is Give an Hour also supports family members that are seeing this happen to their loved ones and can support them. Then AARP, one does not have to be a member to get this broad network of victim support group support. And your state is here to support you as well. We have the Department of Financial Regulation, for which I work for. We have the AG office, Attorney General. Oftentimes, if a crime is reported to local police, it's because you need a report to, like let's say someone stole a necklace in your insurance company, needed a report. You can go to law enforcement. Let's say someone went to law enforcement about any kind of scam that we've been talking about today. They'll often refer you out to the AG office. Now, this is a bit of why we got together as a collaboration as well. They'll often have you report to the AG office. The AG office will then often have you report to the FBI. So it's a bit of a circle. So our steps 1 and 2, and your financial institution, of course. So really, the law enforcement is taking you back to AG, and AG is taking you back to FBI. That's why we give you the step 1 and 2. Go right to FBI, get that report in. But we're here in other ways to give you other resources if you need them. And so is the 211 line, by the way. We've done a training for them as well, and they also have other great resources. And lastly, for those who have been victimized in the investment scheme, now their investments or the tech scheme as well, the technology scheme can get into the computer, get those accounts, sell off the assets, those investments, and put them into crypto, and then it's gone. And then at the end of the year, what happens? The federal tax bill comes, and they want their money. That's why the last item is there. Vermont Legal Aid will help others with tax issues around being scammed. Okay, and so thank you for letting me go through that. I am about 4 minutes over time, but I do have time for questions. Either you'll be my guide to say when we should break, but who has questions? Thank you.
So I have a question. If you have, thank you. if you have different online accounts with different merchants or something, where you've set up, a username, a hard password and everything, but you go to log in and you can't log in with the credentials you reported. That suggests to me that somehow somebody got into their stuff and now I should consider the account compromised. But if I want to, I think the only way, like for example, to get a credit card company to replace a credit card is by reporting it lost or something. Like, I'm just not sure, like, what do you do in a situation like that? It's amorphous. I haven't lost money yet, but like, I'm not getting into accounts where I know I have the correct credentials.
Yeah, that type of account would be a credit card company, is what you're saying, or a merchant?
A merchant or possibly a credit bureau.
Okay. So I would always call them, look up their phone number, call them directly. And
With the credit bureau, I couldn't get through
Right.
because I didn't have the credentials.
Right.
Yeah,
We have a.
because maybe they had changed them.
yeah, to the credit bureau.
I don't know what your experience is.
I
with
would
credit
call,
card
I would
company.
call identitytheft.gov on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My credit card company, every time I call, they want to replace my card. And that's pretty inconvenient. So unless I'm absolutely sure I've been scammed, I tell them not to. But
Right, and see, and like, this is where I would like to replace it as a precaution, but it seems like my options are limited, so.
You know, credit cards and debit cards, really good point here. Should I use a debit card to buy something or a credit card to buy something, and why?
Good question.
Credit.
You guys are great. And that's because the debit is not insured for, hey, no, I made the purchase willfully. I didn't know they were a scam site, but I gave them my money. But whereas a credit card, you can go back and say, they frauded me, and they'll do the dispute. So you don't have to change that card right away if you're watching your activity.
I see, thank you.
Sure.
I have one merchant I deal with who prefers a debit because they like to avoid the credit card extra charge.
Yeah. Oh, but if they're using a debit, there's still a charge for the merchant because it's Visa or MasterCard.
But a debit comes right out of your checking account.
Right. I think it might be a lower.
Okay, yeah. But to each their own. I mean, they're handing it to you. It's a different story going online.
Oh, I wouldn't go online.
Exactly. Yes, thank you.
What was told to me right away was close your bank account and they'll do it for you at North Bank or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And call every credit card you have, even if you didn't give that number, because they might be able to transfer back and forth. But that's what they told me to do immediately. I got scammed, but everything else was closed down. So they couldn't start taking anything out of it.
The bank told you to do that? Terrific. I would follow their advice. Great. So the bank advice to her was, well, they took care of everything in her accounts, direct in her accounts, but they also advised that they close their credit cards as well.
All
Wow.
All of them.
Well, that's why you
It's
don't.
a lot of work, but it's so worth it.
It is a lot of work, but so is anything else after that. Yeah,
And that's the
after
point.
her.
And that's the point. And I want to apologize for the idiot remark, because in my book, as an educator of computer science for 40 years, an idiot is someone who is uninformed, not necessarily someone who is afraid of it or is uneducated about it. And so what you just said is the most critical part. You have to be educated and you have to be proactive, because every piece of software out there, and I'll be a little bit obnoxious, unless it was written by one of my students, okay, is not thinking about the consumer's needs. They are thinking about the commercial monetary goals of the company. And unfortunately, that includes the federal government. So always think about, who am I talking to? I mean, that's the bottom line. And the other thing that you kind of glossed over, because I also do AI,
Yeah.
this is not simply about the human being who's scamming you, but the technology they're using to scam you. You put something on the internet, regardless of how, thousands of data brokers are going to have that information.
Yeah, and also our data has been breached already, all of us. Our
Right.
data has been breached somewhere.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of times per
That's
week.
why that credit hold, that freeze credit or fraud alert, that's a good idea to do. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Sherry. I don't know what you missed. Just maybe a little bit of info about canoes. That'd be about it. But wow, I mean, wow, thank you. This was a whole lot longer than the presentation I got at the library conference.
We gave her the sampler and said in
Yeah.
person it's longer. Thanks for sticking with it.
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't mind filling out the survey, it gives us helpful insights for future.
Really great. So I also want to say, thank you. I also want to thank Cat TV again for being here. Yay! Thank you. You did a great job last time. And in my hand, let's see, what else do I have in my hand? Because I want to be organized. For those of you who are not members, who are so enthralled by our presentation and want to join, there's membership information on the back table, membership form, and a lovely postcard-ish kind of thing that tells you a little bit more about our organization. What am I missing? What did I miss? What? What's that? Oh,
Let's give a hand to AAUW for organizing this.
My question to you is, you said there was a PowerPoint presentation we could access,
This we will send to you.
send to AAUW?
Yes.
Or me, or a contact person for our organization?
I have your
Who
contact,
can Make
so
it available, yes.
if you would like this to be sent to you, how should we go about that? Do an email list?
We'll put it in the newsletter, so should I give her your contact info?
Well, I'll send it to you and you
Okay, I'll
can.
forward it. Okay, great, got
Super.
that covered. So, yes, thank you, Julie. Stay for refreshments, please. And thank you so much to the approximate 30 of you who have come out to make this program a success. A what? A possibility? A possible, says Judy. Thank you. Don't forget to drop your name tags before you leave. Thank you.